Onorevoli Presidenti, Onorevoli Membri, huwa ta' pjaċir u unur għalija li llum qiegħda hawn qudiemkom. Qatt ma ħsibt li se jkolli l-opportunità li settur li ddedikajt il-ħajja politika tiegħi għalih, l-ugwaljanza, inkun qed niddiskutih magħkom wara li kont nominata sabiex navvanza dan il-portafoll fuq livell Ewropew. F'dan il-Parlament l-idejat ikunu diskussi minn spettru wiesa ta' perspettiva. U jiena konvinta illi dak li jaqadna huwa ferm akbar minn dak illi jifridna. I will switch to English now. Equality is an infinite resource. Indeed, there is enough equality for everyone, and we can sustain it. On the other hand, discrimination excludes, marginalizes, and leads members of society to the brink. Discrimination is a wasteful practice. It robs members of society of their well-being, fulfillment, and prosperity. Yes, discrimination harms individuals and minorities directly, but it also harms society as a whole, as it disconnects relations, diminishes trust, and alienates people. The setting up of equality as a portfolio in itself is a bold statement by President-elect von der Leyen towards a vision of a Europe where human dignity and human rights, freedoms, democracy, and the rule of law are strengthened and brought further to the fore. A Europe free from discrimination. This development follows on her publication of the first political guidelines that contain a whole section on equality with clear measures that must be implemented during this term and the setting up of the first gender-balanced commission. The President-elect laid out her vision, and if I have your support following this hearing, I am ready to work hard with the task force on equality that is purposely being set up on a permanent basis, composed of senior representatives from all services of the Commission and the European External Action Service, and chaired by the Deputy Secretary General in charge of policy coordination. And this, together with my cabinet, the Directorates General, the thematic gender equality and anti-discrimination high-level groups, the European Institute for Gender Equality, and the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights to deliver on all of these measures. Additionally, I intend to work in dialogue with you, the members of the European Parliament, as well as member states and civil society. I intend to work collaboratively with all, free from finger-pointing, to elevate this area both within the European Union and also externally. During the conversations that I had with many of you here, as well as with anti-discrimination intergroups here at the European Parliament and umbrella civil society anti-discrimination networks in the past weeks, I found a lot of common ground. There is agreement that we need to step up our resolve for gender equality and the fight against gendered violence and multiple discrimination, as well as promote equality on the grounds of race and ethnic origin, age, disability, religion or belief, and sexual orientation. In the conversations that I had, many have expressed their support for this portfolio's orientation, including its vertical and horizontal dimensions, and asked me to flesh out my vision for how it is to be implemented. Equality needs to be enjoyed by everyone, and we all need to be part of its growth process. The European Union needs to continue to take a leading global role in this area. All my life, I have done anything and everything in my power to improve the lives of citizens. I entered politics, perhaps like many of you in this room, when I was a 17-year-old student, full of enthusiasm and commitment, full of idealism, with faith that by engaging, listening, campaigning every single day, I would be able to bring about positive change in society. Many years later, all I know is that this fight is far from over. But I learned an important lesson, that real change is only possible if we, the politicians, have the courage to make change happen at all levels of governance. The 21st century must be the century of women being equal. Exactly 40 years ago, in 1979, Simone Weil was elected as the first female president of this parliament, one of the largest democratic assemblies in the world. Today, in 2019, we need to ensure that women have the right to be equal in all the spheres of their lives through an ambitious gender mainstreaming process, both within the European Union institutions and their respective outputs. This is why, if confirmed by you, I will use my energy, my experience, and my conviction to build fairer societies in our Union, ones in which, in the words of President-elect von der Leyen, those who share the same aspirations will have the same opportunities to fulfill them. I know that this is an uphill struggle. As a minister responsible for European affairs and equality at the national level, I worked hard to fight societal stereotypes, table legislative proposals, adopt strategies, and stand the ground against calls to water down equality initiatives. As a commissioner, I will need to use a similar approach and work with member states to convince them that taking action at the EU level is the right way to go. Because promoting inclusion and fostering equality are European issues as much as tackling climate change or solving economic crisis. It's a fight which deserves a European response, and it needs our full attention. Let me just give you a few figures, as sometimes numbers can say more than words. In the European Union, 31% of women work part-time, largely because they bear most of the caring responsibilities for children and the elderly. 1 in 3 women are subject to gender-based violence at least once in their adult life. More than half of Muslims looking for housing feel discriminated against because of their first or last names. 80% of Roma persons are below their country's at risk of poverty threshold. 50% of citizens with a disability have no access to work and are excluded. Older persons receive on average of 39% less invitations for job interviews, even when they have identical profiles with younger job seekers. 2 in 5 trans persons are victims of violence every year. And in at least 21 member states, medical interventions are carried out to impose a sex on intersex children. This gross discrimination may be further compounded when individuals are targeted on multiple grounds. We need to take action, and live up to the values that the European Union holds very dear. Honourable members, I will make the fight for inclusion in the EU my personal fight. I will not hesitate to use every tool to promote equality and to strengthen Europe's commitment to inclusion in all of its forms. I want to focus my work in particular on three strands: the fight against discrimination in all of its senses, the inclusion and empowerment of women, the promotion of equality and full participation. All these for women and men, racial and ethnic minorities, religious and non-religious minorities, persons with disability, older and younger persons, and LGBTI persons. Right from the beginning of my mandate, I will seek support from my fellow commissioners in proposing whatever is needed to advance equality in the EU and also externally. To serve this purpose, I will establish within the first 3 months of this Commission mandate the Task Force on Equality. It will be mandated with the complicated mission of swiftly building an intersectional approach for equality in all the policies of the EU. My intention is that the task force is operational soon and that it is well equipped to tackle the huge task of mainstreaming equality in the EU. Concurrently, I will put forward a new European gender strategy, which will include new legislative proposals as well as incisive policy measures. It is high time the Commission delivers on this call by you MEPs and civil society alike. Within this framework and the first 100 days, I will propose new measures to address pay transparency, one of the key priorities throughout my mandate. I will insist we continue working on the gender pay gap and the pensions gap until we know that who we are does not dictate our chances of being paid the same as others for the same work. As Commissioner for Equality, I will closely monitor that the Work-Life Balance Directive is fully and properly implemented in all Member States. I cannot accept that the economic loss due to the gender employment gap still amounts to 370 billion euros per year. I want work-life balance to be a success story. I will continue to work throughout my mandate on women's empowerment and see, together with Member States, that gender stereotypes are tackled and childcare and care facilities are improved. I will prioritise the inclusion of persons with disabilities. I will make sure that all EU sector legislation pays attention to the issue of disability. In 2020, it is expected that 1 in 6 EU citizens will live to some degree with a disability. In this regard, I will give priority to the implementation of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability. An evaluation of the current strategy is also underway. I want to sit down with you, honourable members, and discuss how to move this policy framework forward. I will do everything in my power to advance key legislation in the equality area. As a minister, I participated to endless debates in Council on proposals that have remained blocked for too long. The Horizontal Anti-Discrimination Directive was proposed more than 11 years ago. The Women on Boards Directive dates back to 2012. The proposal for the EU's accession to the Council of Europe Istanbul Convention dates from 2016. How can I explain that to our citizens? In this framework, should I not be able to remove the outstanding stumbling blocks and to convince the remaining sceptical Member States in Council, I will not hold back from finding new remedies and propose new legislation. Honourable members, We owe this political transformation to our citizens who are excluded, who are struggling to make ends meet because of discrimination, and who are suffering from violence. Equality is not a zero-sum game. The empowerment of women and persons coming from minority backgrounds is of benefit to all. Finally, I heartily welcome the inclusion of a gender mainstreaming question in the written question for all the college. Equality mainstreaming is the way forward. Thank you.